For August the 4th, 2017, we talk about Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, Pokémon Go's Curfew, and we ask you which TV show or movie you would like to see made into a game. Welcome to Level 206. My name is Kole Ross.
My name's David Meisman.
I'm Jala Prendez.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. So I think at this point, I let us figure out the order on the fly, knowing that the only two rules are I go first and Ben goes last when Ben is present.
It's a free-for-all in the middle.
Right.
Actually, how it goes is like this. If you haven't noticed the trend, I'm always right before Ben.
Okay.
And David goes after Dennis. So the usual order is you, Dennis, David, me, Ben.
Okay.
And whoever's missing is just missing that day.
Right.
So basically, this just became one of those like SAT questions.
Right. Yeah,
but that's it's consistent. That's how it goes every time.
I can't operate on this intro. It's my son. So thank you so much for tuning in. Jala, I don't want to put you in a spot where you're going to get emotional, so cut in if you would like. I would characterize Jalaid, the event that the community put on to raise money for some of your recent medical costs. I would characterize it as a resounding success. Would you?
Yeah. And just to let everybody know, every last red cent of that money is still going to pay medical because I literally have a disaster debt because this is the third surgery for cervical cancer that I've had. And so I have had a kind of rolling disaster debt is what I call it, that it just got to the point where I couldn't take on any more when this came up this year. And so every last bit of that is going to pay for all of that.
Yeah.
And basically, thanks to everybody's help, I have a chance for the first time in literally years to maybe get that albatross off my neck and move forward with my life and actually start like planning future stuff. It's not that I'm, in the clear. I've got other crap from all the other bad things that have happened to me aside from the medical that I still have to deal with. But I'm to the point where it's manageable. It's something that I can possibly square away, with careful planning, and God willing, nothing else blows up at me in the meantime. So long as the prognosis in November when I go back is in the clear, then and nothing else blows up, then I will have a chance to finally move forward after basically doing like treading water and then getting pushed back by the current over and over again for a long time. So I will say thank you. I copiously said thank you for most of the stream. I jumped into a few streams to chat with people. I archived it all on my YouTube, so I gave the URL to Kole, and I've tweeted it out. If you guys will, go check those out. Everybody did an awesome job, and it was a lot of fun. And there are in-jokes upon in-jokes upon in-jokes to go check out. A lot of fun there. We'll talk more about that in the grind, I'm sure, because that's the very much about the only thing that I've been doing.
Right. Yeah, it was a big weekend long commitment. That happens with all the streams. 48 to 72 hours is enough time for like kind of this bootstrapped culture to come together. Especially in a group that's as in-joke happy as we are. So I came into it, I was watching stuff, off and on. But, our leg of this, doing the tabletop thing, doing the Gary's Dungeon World campaign, which was a lot of fun. That was toward the end of the run, and I had no idea what was going on in chat. People were talking about Vor.
That was a rolling thing. You can thank Eric for that. Eric Z Chocobo. That's his fault. But there were like rolling jokes because like I said, I was up for as many people's streams as I could be. At some point, I popped into everybody's stream with 2 exceptions, and that's because I had a long run on Saturday and my mom wasn't feeling well, so I needed to 1, sleep, and then 2, do my run and take care of my mom, and so I missed 2 streams because of that, but I will be checking out the archives. I've actually already started from the beginning, and I'm going to be going through every last one of those videos. So,
that's great.
But unrelated to that, on my birthday, I watched Resident Evil Vendetta with Sam, and that's the CG movie that I was talking about the last time I was on.
How's that?
It's actually really good. Well, for Resident Evil.
Hey, to be fair, at least the one movie was good.
Okay, so let me just say, okay, look, I've not seen the live action movies, and there was this whole conversation about that when I invaded Melty Goblin's Diablo stream. I was talking about the movie in more detail, but basically, it has really, really well-directed action scenes that even call back to the move sets that you have in the last more recent games, like 4, 5, and 6. The character models kind of are a mishmash of the more recent models and then the older models, like a kind of like a midway point between those, kind of conglomerating all of those together and then making these models.
So Chris is only half roided up.
Yeah, and Leon's hair got darker and he got slimmer again, and I don't know, a bunch of different stuff. And the story, like all the CG movies are just like, they're all right. They're good fun, but they're dumb, But this one actually tries to tie the story in and mentions Los Illuminados and Tricell and Neo Umbrella and a bunch of stuff, and that hasn't been the case in the other ones, really.
Okay.
They actually try to tie it all in, and then what you're fighting are things that look more like zombies, that look more like the stuff from Resi 7 than like the weird bug creatures in 6 or anything like that. So like they're kind of drawing it back like as a kind of midway point, bridging the gap between more or less 6 and 7. Where we're going. Like where it's kind of trying to bring it all together to where it looks like it fits in the same world somewhere. So, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching that movie, and I was laughing so hard because it's Resident Evil and it's ridiculous. There was even a point where the characters are talking, and then just for no reason, some of the supporting characters are just like talking about Breaking Bad and how much they like it. It's like, what? I was so confused. I was like, oh my God, that was left field. And it was great because they were like, it's a masterpiece, and just going off, and it was just this random funny thing, but it made it feel more like you were watching a movie rather than a CG movie.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, CG movies are pretty much always it's all business. Doesn't matter if that business is boring. It's always like right to the point.
Yeah, so I mean, like it was actually a lot of fun, and that's probably my favorite CG movie of Resi. And I have no problem rewatching this movie. So if anybody else listening to this who has chit chatted with me before, wants to pop on Skype and do a video call, if you get a copy of it, I will push play at the same time and we'll watch it again.
Is this your new Resident Evil 6?
Yeah, this is my new Resident Evil 6. Speaking of, I need to get back into that with Greg, but we have both been very busy and things. So anyway, that's it. I'll talk more about Jala in the grind.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know that I have anything too huge to add on to that. I'm just really happy. 115 people gave, and that's huge. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Ben? What's been going on this past week?
I had a pretty normal weekend. I had friends from college come to visit, so that was nice. So they were in town Friday and Saturday and left Sunday, and then Sunday I watched some of the stream. So
nice.
Yeah.
And David, you're in your new / old place.
Yes, I'm no longer homeless, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But you have a crisis at hand.
I have a crisis. I got here with enough time basically to eat and do the do some quick scouting around the house, see if everything was in order, and then jump on the podcast. And while scouting, I learned that there is no toilet paper in the entire house. So yeah,
and I'm so distraught by this that during the break before we recorded, when everybody was using the restroom, I ran down to the church and lit a candle for you and your plight, even though I am not Catholic. So,
as you do. I mean, it's really good to I don't know, have some privacy for the first time in more than a year.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's
So,
peace of
although
mind.
it's been cool, I don't know if I ever say I crashed at Dennis's place for a bit and enjoyed basically being able to play with his kids without having any of the responsibility that goes with being, a parent.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time stayed with my martial arts instructor, so that's been pretty cool. So yeah, it's been a interesting run.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you have some time to rest.
And go
Definitely.
to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah. The corner store, wherever it is that you can find.
Go to a neighbor, please. Can you
Cool.
help a
Yes.
man in need? Yeah. Well, cool. All of that aside, and all of it's actually pretty big and good stuff. We've got the usual kind of show for you: the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind. And why don't we get started with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Ben, what's the story you got?
So there weren't a lot of stories this week. I only have a tangential story, so I don't even know if there's an article that's worth mentioning. But in one of the articles I was reading, frantically trying to find a story, I was talking about some of the changes to Pokemon Go, and I didn't realize that they had a curfew now with the latest update.
Wait,
so,
Huh?
Yeah. So, okay. So apparently raid battles are not going to be available between 8 p.m. and 9 a.m. Yeah. So I guess the times vary by what time zone you're in. But certain functionalities won't be available for players during that time.
Huh. So just the idea being that, like, since young kids are liable to play this, we don't want them wandering around in the dark and being, like, pinged by cars.
Yeah, exactly. And specifically, I think they mentioned that one of the legendary Pokemon that are in the latest edition, Moltres, is only available during that time period as well, before the curfew.
Okay.
So.
I was going to say, while the curfew is
Yeah.
on, only adults can get this hot bird.
Hey,
Yeah.
I can support that. Kids already have an unfair advantage.
Yeah. All that time.
I don't know.
Assholes.
I look forward to the day when, like, our generation retires and all of the online games become this massive battle between, like, 12-year-olds and 80-year-olds.
Oh, there won't even be there's no battle. Like, it's not going to be any kind of contest. They're going to have the time, they're going to have the resources and the reflex. Like, look at what's happening right now and have that writ large.
See, but at that point, we will have the time, but we'll also have the experience.
I don't know how much that's worth. New stuff comes. I've been playing games all my life, and I do not understand Dota, and doubt at this point, even if I started, I would be able to.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But so this article basically made me realize of how much out of the loop I am with Pokemon Go. I haven't played it in about a year, and it seems like a lot of changes have happened.
Yeah, they came out and said, "Hey, we made gym battles better." And
Oh, really? I live next to a gym now.
I mean, gyms in the game. Gyms are usually like
Yeah. I mean, as in a Pokemon gym.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
No. Totally the more nerdy interpretation of that statement is the fact that I know that my house is next to a Pokemon gym.
Which means you've launched Pokemon Go since then. Yeah, but they promised the battles were better, but no, they are still garbage. Yeah. Oh well.
So apparently the curfew 2 is not officially stated by the game. It's people have been speculating what the times are on Reddit, which is Always a good source of information.
Oh, so it's like, is raid available or is raid not available kind of thing?
Yeah, so at some point, raid is not available for people. Raid battles are not available for people.
Yeah. I think it's smart. I think it's smart. Mm-hmm. Let's hear, Jala, how about yours? What you got?
All right. Well, a red and white special edition bundle of the Nintendo 2DS and New Super Mario Bros. 2 drops on August 25th. It is $79.99. It costs the same as the 2DS on its own, though it's usually bundled with Mario Kart 7. This is pretty much confusing to the masses because Nintendo just dropped the 2DS XL, which has all the capacity of the 3DS other than the 3DS functionality. It has better processor, built-in amiibo support, clamshell design. So basically, this is more or less a budget option. So
yeah. I'm not sure if getting New Super Mario Bros. 2 is more valuable than getting the Mario Kart game. However, I understand that New Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually pretty good.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's a thing.
But this is the version that can't play all the games, right?
I don't know if it's that it can't play them. I thought it was a version that just didn't show 3D on the display.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah,
I thought there was some version of that like couldn't play some of the more advanced games or something.
Are you think? I mean, so they put out the new 3DS, and that is the one that plays. That is the one that plays like the ones that need acceleration, right?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the status on the 2DS is. All I know is it looks like a doorstop. And I would be curious to hold one to see if it's comfortable, because I could see it going either way.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Nice. Well, 3DS has a lot of good games, and they're probably cheap. So, do it. Get it. David, tell me what's going on with Warcraft.
Yeah, so Warcraft apparently at some point instituted Warcraft tokens, which are redeemable in game can be bought with actual money and then are redeemable in game for a month of playtime, or can be sold on the auction house for that sweet World of Warcraft gold. And that basically allows one to calculate a exchange rate between World of Warcraft gold and the US dollar.
Yeah, this is real similar to what was done with EVE Online.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly. Except without as many awesome stories of people infiltrating guilds to swipe things and stuff. But so apparently someone did the math, and with the unfortunate dictating that's going on in the country, they found that World of Warcraft gold is actually worth more right now than Venezuelan money.
Yeah, that's god-awful.
Yeah, that's really terrible.
Yeah, it's apparently this number is somewhat out of date, but at one point they they display a tweet where someone had done the math, and the Venezuelan bolivar was 8,493.97 per US dollar, whereas a World of Warcraft gold was 8,385 per US dollar. So,
yeah.
I know. I mean,
yeah, good.
Granted, sadly enough, from what I've seen in the news, I actually think this is probably one of the less depressing things happening in Venezuela right now, because things are getting really crappy in the country. But it's kind of an interesting metric.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like hyperinflation is really fascinating, like from an academic point of view. However, when you start getting like, oh my gosh, like they'd had they're carrying around in wheelbarrows, you forget like, oh, like those are actual people who can't afford to eat that Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even understand how it works, because like I know I don't know what Venezuela is exactly like, but I know like Germany pre-World War One was World War Two was having like 10% in hyperinflation a day or something.
Yeah,
so it's like
there's Zimbabwe dollars and stuff like that. Brazil had a terrible hyperinflation at one point.
Right.
Yeah.
Which would mean like if you were, like a doctor, within like a couple weeks, you would now be being paid below minimum wage.
Yeah. Huh. Well, like we were talking about this in the green room ahead of time. We were like, oh, is this reflecting well on the value of World of Warcraft money, or is it reflecting poorly on the value of the Venezuelan dollar? And like, I haven't looked at WoW's subscription numbers recently. I don't think they're at the height of their powers. So this is bad.
It's poorly on Venezuela. So I looked up an article against this. So like the conversion rate's something around 8,000 or 9,000 to $1. So 8,000, 9,000 bolivars to $1.
Yeah.
And in May apparently it was 280 bolivars for $1. So
yeah. So over the course of a couple of months, changing by an order of magnitude. Yeah.
Well, also, if you think like my understanding is the like food shortages and stuff like that have been going on for much longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, even the number in May was probably bad, in bad shape.
That's not great. Yeah. So there's a video game angle to this, and I will admit to being more fixated on what's happening in the U.S. than I am on what's happening in the world. So I don't know the specifics of what's going on in Venezuela. So I don't know if I can confidently speak to more of it. However, like that sucks, and hearts go out and all of that. Like,
yeah,
I wish we were in a position to do something, anything.
My understanding is kind of the basics of it is that, at one point, Venezuela's economy was pretty much entirely based around oil.
Right.
And they, were very, very wealthy. But whereas, for example, like Saudi Arabia used a lot of its oil money to build infrastructure and stuff like that, the Venezuela really just kind of corrupted it off to people.
Right,
and
right.
So when the price dropped, they didn't have anything to fall back on, is my understanding. Although, like you said, I'm no expert.
Yeah, well, it just sucks. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm kind of depressed by this topic, so I might move us on.
Sweet.
Yeah.
let's do that. To something that still kind of sucks, but is very much just like oh boy, this is a strange pairing, because I'm going to complain about something that is very trivial compared to that. I was going to get all indignant at my former employer here. But I'll just do it anyway. I'm not going to hedge. So for several years, Gamestop was part of like a general pushback in retail against the trend of opening the store on Thanksgiving Day. We know that what's it, Black Friday? Mm-hmm. Pretty big deal, etc. I've worked many of them. It sucks. However, they're shifting that policy and are saying, guess what, game advisors, come in, push some subs here on the day when you're supposed to be hanging out with your family. That's right. They are going to be open on Thanksgiving. And as you can imagine, the employees are not happy about this. And yeah, there's not that much more of a detail. They're not saying when they're going to be open, but any time on Thanksgiving is shitty. Like if they were a hospital, or I'd even say a gas station, I could see an order. I could see a reason, for them to stay online and stuff, but they're not essential. It doesn't make any sense.
So when they were open for Black Friday, did they do something? Because I've heard stores doing this. Did they do something where everyone works like 2 or 3 hours, but like everybody works, or was it people were doing 8-hour shifts during those days?
It depended. There was an awful lot of like schedule fuckery. Like I would work like 2 hours on, and then 2 hours on, like right at opening, and then be sent home for a couple of hours, and then expected to come back in.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
I've worked. I worked retail for like 10 years and I was a manager. And so, and at every place I ever worked retail. And so that meant that I was there for double shifts and stuff during the holiday season. Probably the absolute worst place that I worked for a holiday season was at Kohl's.
Oh, God.
Yeah. That was probably the worst because of just like how much stuff was in the fitting rooms and whatever. I mean, I also worked at Borders Books, Pier 1, and at Hollywood Video, but like none of those other places got like, I mean, Borders was very, very busy. We were the highest volume store in the company other than Puerto Rico store. But, you know, like it, even with as big as we were, it was not as nuts as working at Kohl's. Although at one point when I worked at Porter's, I ended up having to work overnights for several months because we just had nowhere to put all of the stuff they were trying to send us for the holiday season. And so I had to try to work overnight with one other person to make everything fit.
Ugh.
So the good news is that I didn't see customers.
You were doing literal inventory Tetris.
Yeah. The bad news was that I didn't see the light of day or anyone but this one person.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, that's how that went.
Yeah.
And right after that is when I quit. So
Yeah, that sounds
Surely
intolerable.
unrelated.
Right, different.
yeah. At 4 months of that, no, I mean, like, props to the people who do it. Like I've worked inventory, you know, at those places. I was inventory manager, but you know, working early mornings and stuff like that. But like overnights for that long is just too much. I can't do it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Was that on top of any regular shifts, or was it just you were a night shift worker?
I was a night shift worker. I didn't have anything else but that.
Ugh.
And I was there until the stuff was done. So if
Jeez.
I didn't get it done, I had to stay past the time the store was open to get it all out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. My favorite thing.
Retail is a rough business. So props to everybody who works retail is, I guess, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And companies are terrible.
My only like annoying service sector story, and this one obviously is not nearly as bad as any of this, is when I was in San Francisco, I worked at a makerspace, and one of the fellows that came in was a street performer, a professional street performer, and he was a really cool guy, but whenever he needed to buy something, no matter what it was he was buying or how much or whatever, he would pay in crumpled $1 bills.
Hey, David,
that's all he got.
Were they moist?
I don't believe they were moist.
Okay, good.
Oh.
Got that going for you. In my experience, most crumpled most crumpled paper currency
are also moist.
have some level of body of body moisture on them.
I feel like there was a different service being paid for in this situation.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it. Hey, David, can you do me a favor and not make me think about it?
This whole brief, I mean, not the whole brief, but a significant portion of this brief is not a nice thing, and we should move on from it.
I think we should. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, you posted this one. What did you ask the nice people?
So I asked if you could pick a movie or a TV show to turn into a game, what would you choose? Assume for the sake of argument that it'll be good, unless, of course, you don't want it to be good. And I think this confused a couple of people because I think people were presuming that we were asking the usual turn a game into a movie or TV show, but no. It's the opposite. It's the opposite way.
Yeah. Let's so if we skip your response, understand that that was the case. Yeah. And I'll get us started here with Sam, who writes The Enigma of Casper Hauser Virtual Pet. Which I think Casper Hauser was the nonverbal mute guy who some like a village in Germany found and like took care of him. He was like this strange anomaly, kind of like raised by wolves kind of situation.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it might have been like made up, like it is presented as being like a factual thing, but it might be folklore. But I have no idea.
Huh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
So I assume this would be on the Oculus then, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, Casper's right there with you. Ben, what does Ollie say?
Ollie says Quantum Leap. It would make for an amazing Telltale game series. Completely agree with this because you have very shallow, like you can make all these like weird out of control choices or whatever and go, and it's fine because then you can kill that entire storyline and leap somewhere else.
Yep. Every episode is a new episode. Oh gosh. Yeah, no, that would be very good. I would like that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
David, good.
I was like the one person who never gave up hope that one day he would make it home. And I was always sad when he was very close or he thought he might be close and then he couldn't. And yeah, like I forever hopeful. Continue.
It seems like every once in a while they had one of those episodes where it's like, could this be the time? And like, no, it's not.
Like, I mean, like, you know, logically I knew that it wouldn't be. Let me clarify that. But like, you know, I am just a generally positive thinking person. And therefore I was always like, but he could do the thing. So
See, I always confuse that with Sliders.
And that they're both perfect television shows?
Yes.
Oh, man. Is Dean Stockwell dead? No. Okay, so this is still possible. Okay, cool. That's all I needed to hear.
To Kickstarter.
David, what does Franz say?
Franz says, my first pick would have been a LucasArts style game based on Dirk Gently. But been there, Dan that, and its sequel already did that better. Second pick, a Kentucky Route Zero style adventure based on American gods.
That's a book.
Yeah, that would be good.
Cool. I don't know. I will have to look into that. I have no idea what American Gods is.
I don't know. I know my martial arts instructor recommends it quite highly, but that's all I know of it.
Yeah. Let's see. Jala, what does Nick say?
Nick says, I have two ideas. First, a Stranger Things video game would be great if done right, either an adventure game in the LucasArts style or a first-person horror game that involves you being relatively powerless and having to use a combination of little kid ingenuity and sneaking around adult figures to complete the game. Second, a Rick and Morty open-world game. The possibilities are literally endless.
Yeah. Rick and Morty would be great.
They do have a Rick and Morty VR game.
Yeah, but you have to have VR, so like 5 people have played it.
Yep.
If anybody in our audience has played it, I know a couple of people. All 5 of them are in our audience. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let me know because I want to hear the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Stranger Things would be a much better first person like horror game kind of thing. It's already so Stephen King-y and Silent Hill-y that I would want them to lean into that.
You think even over like a LucasArts type thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was about to say something unkind about a thing that a lot of people in this said. I would rather have fewer adventure games or Telltale style things. And that's just my mood right now. Yeah. Michael writes, I have tremendous affection for the anime Trigun. The show follows a ragtag band of colorful characters as they traverse an Old West-style planet. Vash and company try to teach people that kindness means something, even in a harsh world that largely forgot about it. With all the wildly varying superpowers and shootouts on display, I think you could make a real good Red Dead Revolver-like game out of that. Probably with a morality system based around killing or avoiding killing people, because that's a big thing in the show. If a game was made out of Trigun right now, it would almost 100% be trash, but a guy can dream.
Yeah, I actually had posted a reply telling him that, yeah, it was planned and also canceled. There was a game, Planet Gunsmoke, that was going to be made for Trigun, and it was canceled. But yeah, like love and peace.
Why does this sound...
the only people who have actually watched Trigun, they'll know that. But David, you would like it because Wolfwood is a character that has a giant cross that is also a giant gun.
No, he is. I was about to say, like, he is one of my favorite anime characters.
Yep, I knew it.
Wait,
so anyway, that's Trigun.
Trigun was not Outlaw Star, right?
No,
Outlaw Star is a totally different thing.
Okay. I remember
Outlaw Star, like I liked the beginning of Outlaw Star, and then it just got crappy at some point and just kind of like lost where it was going. But I mean, like I liked the idea when it first started anyway, and then it just kind of failed. And meanwhile, Ben's like, okay.
I know the at least for
I'm
Trigun,
blowing into my USB right now.
I really enjoyed Trigun, and I liked some of what they were trying to do with the storyline, but just like the pacifism angle as it's actually presented, it's just so incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that. Like, I was on board with it for a little bit, but then like they take it to such an extreme that I'm like, I understand that this is because he's not backing down on his principles, but this is to the point where it's completely impractical and doesn't make any sense anymore. But whatever.
Yeah.
That's like a whole, like, the ideas of morality and whatever. That's a whole long discussion. We can have that discussion with Michael sometime.
Yeah. Let's see, Ben. What does Drew say?
Drew says The Running Man with Arnold and Richard Dawson.
That does sound like a great idea. Although, isn't that basically Plunkbat?
Plunkbat's more of a battle royale kind of situation. That, like,
I mean, in terms of like, but I still feel like the overall like the moment to moment gameplay, I feel like would be pretty much the same.
If you
like
did
or what I would want the moment to moment game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if you mixed Plunkbat and Shadow of the Colossus, you would have this game that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I'm actually almost surprised that hasn't been a thing.
Yeah, I think no. I'm thinking of there was a Total Recall game on the NES. Yeah. David, what does Jaden say?
Jaden says a point-and-click adventure or Telltale-style game set in the Fargo universe would be a match made in heaven. So, what is a Fargo?
Fargo was originally a Coen Brothers movie released in the mid-90s. I think it was one of the movies that was like in the run-up to The Big Lebowski. So if that puts it in an era for you of that kind of thing about like hapless criminals in the North, like in Minnesota and South Dakota. And that was turned into a television series on FX, I think. Or USA or something like that.
I don't remember what it was turned into, like where it was turned into, but yes, I remember the TV show was a thing.
Yeah, I need to catch up on it. Like, I need to actually like sit down and watch it. But there's a lot of good TV.
Season 1's really good. I haven't seen season 2, but then season 3 is about to come out.
Okay, yeah.
Also, as a side note, there was in fact a Running Man video game. So
what was it for?
Looks like NES, Commodore 64, actually.
Oh my lord.
And the Amiga.
Oh boy.
Nice.
That's going to be on Abject Suffering in the list somewhere.
I'm positive it is. David, what does Greg say?
Greg says, this is partly due to changed expectations of gamers and companies not wanting to spend money on licenses for movies and books these days. But I always thought that Hunger Games could have been turned into a great AAA game. You could have stuff such as first-person archery use, stealth missions, furious multiplayer action scenes, even some sim management on how best to use people and resources and what to attack or do next. Instead, all we got was a crappy mobile game. Blah.
I think the reason that we don't see more movie tie-in games, and they still sometimes exist, but they're not like tied to a particular movie. They're more of like, hey, this is like the franchise more than anything, is because the development cycle for a given game is so much longer than a movie, and changes are made to movies well into their own process. So like it's just impossible for them to keep up.
Also, I feel like this is another one that, like, Plunkbat would be a fairly good simulation of at least kind of the core gameplay loop, if not kind of the broader vision.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that seems like it would be a better fit because of the battle royale-ness. Yeah. Let's see. That was you, David. Jala, what does Lindsay say?
Lindsay says, as a child, I loved Looney Tunes naturally, and I would love to play a game that went through all or most of the episodes. I know there are a few games on the older systems, but they belong on abject suffering. I would love it if it looked like the old show. I'm older now, so if only for nostalgia's sake, I would love that. And I replied to him and told him that it made me laugh that he said that they belong on abject suffering. And then he's like, oh, they do. Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday is a nightmare of a game. And I responded that, I haven't suffered the indignity of that particular title, mostly because if I had seen that in a blockbuster, even Little Jala with a name like Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday, even Little Jala would be like, nope.
No.
Nope. That sounds like trash. I'm not doing it. Wouldn't be prudent. So
good George Bush 1 poll. Yeah. I keep on beating this game's drum. I need to go back and actually like play an emulated version of this. But on the DS, there was a game called Duck Amuck, which was used like the. So Duck Amuck was the Looney Tunes short where Donald Duck ran afoul of the animator, which made no sense because Daffy Duck is a Looney Tune. Daffy ran afoul of the animator, and he was like redrawn and drawn into all these situations. This was like a WarioWare style thing where you were the animator who was like doing these little just like fuck with Daffy kind of mini games on it. And I like that approach of like picking a single episode and like really drilling into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds, I now that you say that, I like vaguely remember it, but I don't know if that's me remembering the cartoon or the game.
Yeah. So. You could also be me. You could be remembering me talking about it in other places.
It might be. I don't know. Everything just kind of merges together eventually.
Time is meaningless. Yeah. Let's see. Jeremy writes, a Telltale-style version of The Thing with lots of randomization and choices you'll probably regret making.
No more Telltale. Everybody's saying Telltale. Damn it. Pick a different style.
I have to throw behind this. The Thing is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I was really disappointed with the game that did get made.
Right.
So I would definitely play the shit out of that.
Yeah. The Thing would make a very good Phoenix Wright style game, but with that with the Phoenix Wright aesthetic. So like it is like super cute, like animated comic book kind of thing. That's what I want.
Yeah, I know there is a pretty good quality fan made pen and paper version of The Thing.
That actually sounds really awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
I like the idea, if it were a Telltale game, I like the idea of like the choices you do for the first 3 or 4 hours, like impacting who gets turned into the thing. So it's like too far beyond. And then when you actually have to like figure out who it is, like it's too late to just like save scum or something like that.
Yeah, set it out.
Also, I would give them even more bonus props if it could be you.
Oh yeah,
that'd be interesting.
It's like it starts and then it's like a die roll. It'd be a little bit like the the Blade Runner point and click adventure game where the stuff is randomized at the start.
Nice. Yeah, I think my understanding is until you get fairly far into the comics, because of course there's a comics version, they never quite establish whether the people that are the thing know it.
Yeah, weird. I would think that was a yeah, I would say that is a very important part of it, because the people who are the thing in the movie always try and conceal it.
Except they don't exactly. I know. The argument is that most of them, they generally don't attempt to conceal it until there's enough, adrenaline or action or whatever to force them to, start slicing fools.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. Ben, what does Justin say?
Justin says Robotech. There have been a few games in the franchise, but not enough. Battlecry was superb, but a MechWarrior-style simulation never materialized, and that's a shame.
I didn't realize that MechWarrior was not Robotech.
Oh well.
Yep. I have no idea. Robotech is like that's like what, a classic like 80s anime thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. David, what does John say?
John says The Fifth Element or Firefly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yes, I would play those.
Yeah. And then Jala, we're up at time. What does Chris say?
Chris says GTA style game of The Wire with the amazing writing of The Wire. I would also love a Twin Peaks adventure game. I know there's Deadly Premonition, but I want an actual Twin Peaks one.
Yeah. So Chris stole mine. Like it's on my mind because I am very much in a Twin Peaks hole right now. With the new season and whatnot. So this will be a freebie for us as I'm responding to that. I don't know so much about an adventure game for me. What I want is like a Twin Peaks version of like those old first person Sherlock Holmes games.
Okay. Like a mystery game?
Yeah, because I mean like those, like that show, the like Dale Cooper or whoever is acting as an investigator is like gathering clues and putting stuff together. I want to be in that role, but also like working in the stuff from the Black Lodge,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be mine. I'd like it to be first person, and a little bit more interactive than a Telltale kind of thing.
Sure.
Ben, how would you feel about the GTA Wire?
Yeah, I was going to say, I would just default to The Wire just so that there's more things with The Wire in it.
Yeah.
But I definitely question what the gameplay would be like of a game like this, where it's like, stand on a roof and take photographs of these people for 10 hours.
I don't know. It could be like the much more depressing version of Pokemon Go. Or not Pokemon Go, Pokemon Snap.
Both, please. oh no, my injustice meter is maxed out. I need to wait until the next day.
It's like all the choices are selfish choices and you have to pick one of those. Yeah.
I just remember in terms of like, I think the game that has ever done more choices the worst, I have a special place in my heart for was it True Crime Streets of LA.
Okay.
So the game had like it nominally had a good cop, bad cop system, but the problem was like it in terms of just actually like solving a crime, it strictly looked at like, did you resolve this situation, yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, you could literally get called out to like a domestic dispute, shoot both parties, and that would count as having resolved the crime.
Oh, geez.
Case closed. You don't have an open case, so yeah.
I think if by case closed you mean no witnesses, then yes. Ben,
but if you did so, you would get one bad cop point. So you had to like give someone a parking ticket in order to balance it out.
If you wing all the parties involved, then you're a good cop.
Right. All that matters is you fired your gun.
With your hollow point bullets with a flashlight attachment.
Ben, how about you? TV show or a movie that you would like to see made into a game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll default to The Wire just solely so there'd be more Wire content.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I'll sell out and say that answer.
All we're doing is like picking our favorite shows.
Yeah.
David, how about you?
So I know using that metric, I definitely go with Farscape. But
It's true. Oh no, it's like a Viva Pinata thing where you are managing your Muppets.
yes, exactly. That is clearly the best course of action. And then, PTSD and yeah. But no, I don't know. This one's hard because I feel like this is the fatal flaw in that all of my my entire taste in like movies and games and stuff is like mindless action movies. And that's basically what video games companies make anyways.
Right. So your needs are met.
Yeah, I feel like I'd say like a good pre the one Matrix game would be pretty cool.
The one.
As in like back when the characters had to like actually be afraid of agents and things like that.
Yeah.
Would be pretty awesome. I also the Raid as like a beat 'em up would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, also I did want to do kind of cheat on our hitting the time limit, but do a quick shout out. Eric said Supernatural, and definitely check out The Secret World.
But are there two hunks in a car? This is very
If there's
important.
no hunks, if there are no hunks, he's not on board.
Oh, jeez. And Jala.
No hunks, the game's got flung.
All right. I have a few answers. So my first one, my initial one, is an open world Zatoichi game. The closest thing that I've seen to, a Zatoichi game being made, and this is, for people who don't know what Zatoichi is, you need to go watch it. It's great. It is a blind swordsman who is, I think, a former Yakuza who then turns and becomes like a good guy, and he is a masseur. And he's also uses like reverse blade, technique. And anyway, he goes around and solves problems in villages and comes up against the Yakuza. And basically he gets information from everybody because they think that he's a useless blind masseur guy. And so there's no way that he could, be a threat. So they just say whatever in front of him while he's massaging them. And that's how he gets info.
But
so,
he has magical Zato powers.
Yes, he does. And so the closest thing that I've ever seen is references. I've seen it. I've heard of a couple of references. The first one I know of is in Guilty Gear, Zato +1, Zato Ichi. Ichi being one. So, Zatoichi. And also, apparently in Warframe, there is a katana stance called Blind Justice that uses a reverse grip, and the first combo is called Zato's Creed. So that's just like a reference to him, though. It's not an actual game. Like an open world game for that would be really fun because it's so episodic. And basically, there are 30 movies and then like hundreds of episodes of this TV show that just went on forever. So it's forever and a day you could do stuff. So yeah, because the show is cheesy, the game has to be cheesy, not bad, just campy. So
you should really check out, if you ever get a chance, the Way of the Samurai series. It's not exactly that. I mean, you're in that like it doesn't so much have like the comedy, but basically the games are, or at least the first one, that's the only one I've been able to play because it's real spotty when they decide to localize them. It's basically takes place over 3 games, or rather 3 days. And there's this situation where there's like the samurai and then the like new imperial government, and they're about to have a war and people are stuck in the middle, that sort of thing. But its whole gameplay loop is that everything happens in real time in the open world, whether you're present or not. So you can just kind of like float through these situations and influence them as they happen. And so you just play the same 3 days over and over again, just making different decisions. But so it gets a lot of kind of that sort of like some of those story beats, and then also has pretty good like samurai sword fighting type of thing.
That's cool, but it still doesn't have Zatoichi.
It does not.
But also, my other answer for this would be VR versions of like a VR games for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or Requiem for a Dream. I think Requiem for a Dream would be like so disturbing. Like that movie itself just made me depressed for a week. And then Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, that could be a really, really good game as well, I think, if done right.
Get some of that surreal imagery happening. Eternal Sunshine as an AR game would be pretty fun.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Nice. Those are all good answers. Yeah. Thank you everybody for writing in. If you want to participate in these in the future, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast. Those go up on Tuesday afternoons. Thanks to Jala and Dennis, who normally do these. And thank you, Michael, for suggesting the question.
Yeah.
The grind. Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the things we have been playing over the last period of time or so. Jala, you have been away the longest. So, as usual, I will start with you.
Oh, okay, so I haven't played a whole lot, mostly because before all the happy things of Jalaid, I had a very, very bad week, to the point that like I felt worse at the beginning of the week than I have felt in all of these last several months of struggle. So I didn't play very much of anything. Before all of the things hit the fan, I happened to finish Citadel of Flames with Greg, Ed, and Sam, and then we realized that the last dungeon story mode was rolled into the story quests. So to do it, we need to run Sam and Greg through the end of the game content.
Oh.
So that's what we're going to be doing this coming Sunday, because obviously during Jalaid we were not off over there doing something else. We were all participating.
Citadel Flames, is that a raid encounter in Guild Wars 2?
It is a dungeon.
Okay.
It is one of the dungeons, because that was the thing that I was doing, because I was like, I get to finish all of the dungeons. Well, I actually have finished all of the dungeons now, because I've run through the story mission for the last dungeon already. So I have actually completed all the dungeons finally, and I never thought I'd get to do that. So thank you guys for running those with me. But also today, and I didn't want to put this in the brief just because I don't know how many people care, Path of Fire X-Pack is coming for Guild Wars 2 in September. Nice. That was just announced today, the day that we were recording. So, there's going to be another expansion coming out, and I haven't finished the last expansion's content, so that's what we're going to be going and doing next. So, that's a thing. Other than that, I played a little bit more of Final Fantasy Tactics, doing the same thing I was doing before, which is basically backtracking through all the towns and going and seeing what the expeditions were that I missed, and then just sending people off on those and waiting for them to get back. So that's boring. And that is about as close to grinding as you're going to get me to do, but it still has like a very specific objective that I'm doing, rather than just like getting a level. Like I'm trying to get these people to go do this thing, and then the quest is no more. Like I don't mind doing side quests. Mm-hmm. And this is basically what I consider to be a side quest. So nice. That is why it does not bother me to do.
You're still in chapter 3?
Yes, I am. And then also Skydancer. I have gotten a little bit further. My high score is over 90,000 now. It's 90,000, 92,000. I think I don't. What was my last score? 96,329. So I'm almost to the 100,000 point range on that game. Those are the only things that I've been playing other than Jalaid, but I kind of figured that we can just talk about what everybody else has been playing and then tackle Jalaid last as a group.
Yeah. So I just have a question about Skydancer for you, being that is kind of this ongoing mobile game, and it's a little bit of, it seems like it's a make your own fun kind of thing. Like, are you working toward like hey, I want to hit 6 digits and like call it a night, or are you literally just playing this game for fun? Is that a thing? I like that's a thing I heard people talk about doing.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of both. There are, like I've explained before, there are different relics in this game that you can unlock that give you different point bonuses and things like that. And right now I am trying to unlock a Pegasus horn, which will if you get to 50% of your high score, it has a small chance of doubling your score and automatically getting you to your high score. So then you can make even more points after that. And then, like you really punk your old score. And to unlock that, I have to use a particular character and he has to run a certain distance at night. And in Skydancer, like there's a cycling sun and moon that go through. So, only half the time is it counting towards this relic that I'm trying to unlock. So I'm trying to unlock that relic, and I am also basically what happens is you run up against more or less some kind of a wall. You get to the point where, say for example, for a while there was a point where you would jump off of a precipice and then the next precipice has a really high wall on one side and then it's clear on the other side, so you have to swivel around in midair accurately and to the precise place to get around that wall and continue running. And that was the thing that was stopping me because I kept on screwing up, and that was my last life or whatever, and then I couldn't go any further because I kept on jacking up that landing. And then I got past that, and then they start throwing other types of obstacles. So every single time that my points go up to the range where I'm like, okay, this is about that time when they're going to throw that thing at me now, and then I have to try to get past that obstacle, whatever it is. And it's kind of like training my hands to be more precise with the motions and things like that. And yeah, for me, it's really a bedtime game that I lay down and I just kind of, finish checking all of my social media or whatever. And then I go and I just zone out a little bit and I'm just playing this game and just kind of relaxing my brain and just kind of unpacking the day by just doing it's kind of like how when we were talking about people grinding or doing repetitive boring things, I have that kind of zen experience but not grinding. I can't stand grinding at all, but in this game I can do it, and I don't know why. So I played this game.
I miss having that. The last game that I can confidently say filled that role in my life was desert golfing.
The last game before this one that did that to me was Puzzle Juice, which is why I played the shit out of that game. I played Puzzle Juice until they just didn't update it, and now it's not going to work on optimally on my system anymore or whatever.
Right.
But that was my
that's
game.
happening to so many games.
Yeah. So anyway, so my constant play of Skydancer is because there's different reasons why. There are objectives that I'm trying to get to. It's not like a zone out number clickery kind of thing, or whatever, where you're just click and that's how you get your points or whatever. It's hand-eye coordination for sure, because you have to navigate around all of this stuff and you have to make judgment calls on stuff on the fly. So it is a little bit more Twitch based, but not so Twitch based that it's taxing to play, if that makes any sense. So
yeah.
Anyway, I like it.
Nice. And is that all you've been playing outside of Jala stuff?
Yeah.
Neat. Do you all mind if I talk about Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance?
Do it, because I have it in my backlog. Convince me I need to play it.
It is very good. It is 2/3 of an extremely good game.
What does that mean?
Explain.
Okay, so I'm just gonna get the weird thing out of the way, or the thing that I don't care for. The pacing in this game is a goddamn mess. To the point where, I think there are 8 missions if you include the the opening, which is mostly like, hey, here's some button tapping to make you feel really good about this character and yourself. But like the last 3 or 4 are just a couple of screens and then a boss. Now, the actual bosses themselves are good and fun and are uniquely challenging and have gimmicks that, obviously you would expect, to be pulled off this well from Platinum kind of at the height of their powers. And it's not like there isn't enough of this game. It's 12 hours long. That is about as long as an action game like this ought to be. The problem is it feels so good in your hands, and the things that you're doing are so fun and engaging. And there are like a lot of good ideas present here that like, I wish it was more spread out. I wish that, maybe not that there was more of this, but just that it wasn't like, okay, you're done with levels now. We've given you all the levels we have. Let's just get you through these corridors into a boss. It feels very unfinished to me in a way that really snuck up on me and caught me off guard.
Yeah.
So they just rushed the ending and cut out the filler, it sounds like.
It feels like that, yeah. But like, I'd rather them do that than just put in filler if they did run out of time, money, or budget. But in an ideal world, it would have been a full game that didn't feel like it dropped off like that.
I can see that.
So that's the bummer side of it. However, if you take that pacing concern away, this is one of the... Okay, this is going to sound kind of crazy. This game succeeds as a video game in a way that few games I have played recently do. By which I mean, it makes as much use out of this being a fast-paced, audio-visual, interactive thing, product experience, whatever you want to throw in, whichever one feels less douchey to you, by virtue of the fact that they give you both amazing and fun things to do, and also systems that are as close to perfect, I think, as I've seen in an action game. Like, yeah, it's remarkable. And I knew this, from playing, I think, like the first 2 missions or something in the past, and then putting it down because that's how I approach games. Unfortunately, I'm not proud of it. But going back into it and finding out that there was more to discover about the way everything was put together was surprising in like the best way.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely double down on your first comment where like a given boss might have 2 or 3 or 4 or more different like mini games built into it, and it'll just be like a one-time experience you'll have, and then it'll just go on to the next thing. But it's like from a development side, that's like a lot of work. So yeah, that part was impressive.
Yeah. And I will always be really happy with like a good variety of ideas. Yahtzee, if they are well executed uniformly, which they kind of are. So this is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. It's the game that is like the very last one in the Metal Gear like timeline. If that matters to anybody, all you need to know is it takes place after Metal Gear Solid 4, when the world has changed once the Patriots go away, and their systems and stuff. But cyborgs are now the real dominant players on the battlefield, and you play as kind of one of the most badass of them all, Raiden from Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4, going out and trying to save a bunch of kids from being turned into soldiers. Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Sometimes you turn into a psycho. Yeah. But
so
good.
Would you think of his disguise in Mexico?
It was very good. This is a funny game. It's a very funny game. There's one point, this is going to sound so dorky, there's one point where he's like mind-jacking or controlling this small little like remote robot drone kind of thing that is made up of like a bunch of arms, and he's got to jack into another system somewhere, like physically using this robot. So you have this cute little robot thing that is trying to plug in a USB cable. He goes to plug it in, it doesn't go in, and then you see him fumble with it like a human, turn it over, and then plug it in. I don't know. Like, that is such a weird goofy little detail that shouldn't contribute as much to the overall tone and care that is brought into this, but like it is a funny ass game.
Well, and it struck me as it felt to me at least like they tried to pull in like some of the weird like attention to detail that the Metal Gear series is known for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Same thing with some of the like just pointlessly philosophical like dialogue you'll have with the various NPCs.
Oh, of course. I mean, every boss still gives you their life story after they die. You know, like that's just a fact of life. It comes part and parcel with the entire series. But the nice thing is, the game lets you play it in between those, which is good.
A key difference with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Well, this is an improvement.
It did bother me. Do they ever explain like how these people are talking to you after you literally turned them into a fine mist?
I don't think they explain it. I think it's all nanomachines or AI, or they're not technically dead at that point. Like enough of them is still alive.
Nanomachine, son.
Yeah.
Still disappoints me that Steam got rid of that tag.
What?
For a while there, Steam had custom tags, and so the one for like every game that involves nanomachines was tagged with nanomachine, son.
Oh, right after what the final boss says to you. Yeah, it's very funny. So when I say that this game is like, systems, like the systems are very good, or that it feels very good in your hands, what I'm talking about is like the fast and fluid combat that it has. So like this is a combo based kind of character action game. Think like a Devil May Cry, or the closer analog might be like a Bayonetta almost, where you are trying to stack up combos against people, against enemies, sometimes numerous enemies, sometimes enemies that are much larger than you. But kind of the big difference and the thing that feels amazing in your hand is the parry system. Parry. There's not just like a bunch of people named Perry around. But you've got basically whenever an enemy is about to attack in a way that you can block, they kind of like flash red. And much like a fighting game, if you press your attack button and the directional, like your analog stick toward that enemy, you will block that attack and then be able to continue your combo. And with some of the tougher enemies or some of the bosses, you're just like block, attack, block, attack. Dodge, activate blade mode to keep your combo going, and then going in and continuing to do that. And you're blocking, in a lot of different directions, trying to keep yourself from being hit. And something that is amazing is like, if you are hit, that doesn't just put you into like this weird little like stumble animation that you can't get out of. No, if you block after you've been hit, like you just pick back up with it, which contributes to like the fluidity. It lets you fuck up in a way that doesn't feel commensurate with a game or a developer that has this reputation for demanding some kind of perfection from you. That said, I'm playing on normal, so who knows how much those windows have been widened for me. I didn't like dip into hard mode to see like, oh, this is where the real precision is required of you. I think that would be very, very interesting to look at. But even still, I think last week I said this game is very difficult. It's not. You're going to do a lot of trial and error in order to figure out like what this boss's gimmick is, or like the best way to approach this encounter. But most of all, like the game wants you to succeed and feel good about it, while, putting enough resistance in your way to make it that it's not like a complete pushover. It's incredibly well balanced on the normal side.
Very cool.
Yeah. Other cool stuff, there's blade mode, where like you can go into this at any time and your right analog stick will be control like which direction you slash at somebody. If you stun an enemy, and this is sometimes the only way that you can take out a larger enemy, you can enter blade mode, like the game goes into slow motion saying, hey, go into this now. And you do these very quick, just dice, kind of attacks, cutting them into pieces. One of the most satisfying things, and this is the way that you restore your health, outside of just relying on like med kits and stuff, is it will actually put up a line for you to cut, or no, it'll highlight the like the inside where their nanomachine repair goo is. And so like if you if you in blade mode hit that thing at the end of one of these combos when you are, you know, at full energy, full, you know, like full mana basically, but low health, you will rip that person in half. And then Raiden reaches out, grabs what appears to be just like this big spine bladder full of blue liquid and crush it. And this is the way that you like chain from encounter to encounter. This is the way you chain from encounter to encounter. Like it is a way for you to finish off an enemy and recharge yourself for whatever you're going to go to next. And so like it's demanding of you. Like you have to go in and do this and not miss the opportunity when it presents to you. But like what it is doing is like stringing together these different modes of input. And helping you kind of like, you know, like Raiden does in Metal Gear Solid 4, dance from encounter to encounter. Very and like those are the basic kind of components of this. This is all wrapped up in a little bit of like a stealth metaphor. It very rarely requires you to do that, and it falls down when it does. But the best implementation of stealth is almost like a Batman Arkham Asylum or City kind of approach, where you are just trying not to be spotted while you set up for your first kind of initial attack. You know, predator mode, trying to take somebody down.
Nice.
Yeah, it is an excellent game, and much like any, you know, kind of amazing piece of media, I am embarrassed that I haven't like gone in and just like torn it to pieces well before this. This is a 4-year-old game by this point.
You haven't entered blade mode with the game.
Right. Yeah. It is fantastic. Do any of you go ahead?
Shame on you for not absorbing every possible piece of media out there in existence, Cole.
Oh, I'm the worst. The
first step is admitting you have a problem.
Yep. Jala, as somebody who has this on their backlog, does this intrigue you?
I've heard about it a few times. It's just a matter of like remembering that I have it in my backlog when I go and open Steam, which is the number one problem that I have. So like if it's just in the forefront of my brain long enough, I'll remember that I have it. But also right now, to be fair, it is like fucking ridiculous hot outside, so I have been avoiding being in my office as much as possible, just because even with my air on max AC, it is so hot that I am sweating because there's not enough insulation in here to keep in the cool air, and it's 108 heat index out there in the last several days. So yeah, it's a little bit too warm for me to like right now, like because I have my air turned off, even though it's nighttime, I'm sweating. So yeah. You know, it's whatever.
Yeah. So, no, I don't think. I mean, it's August and you're in Houston. I don't think anybody blames you for waiting until.
Yeah, like like I, other than the times that I'm doing co-op with people, I will probably be on my Vita more often than not, at least until it starts to maybe get under triple digits.
Yeah, I would do the same in your position. So
yeah, so sorry guys. But anyway, yeah, like
nobody's holding you to it. I just wanted to say like.
I blame
you. No. Well, you know what? I don't care, David. I'll flip a table on you. You talk about zippers being a thing. Zippers are inferior. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah.
I'll play it sometime. Just people need to keep on mentioning it to me, and maybe I'll remember about it.
Yeah, there are things in it that are not explained that spring directly off of Metal Gear Solid 4, like just state of the world style allusions to particular technologies or events that might have changed the nature of the way people fight.
So the game doesn't open up telling you the world has changed?
No, it doesn't open up saying that war has changed.
I remember.
Well, yeah, because war never changes.
When I opened it up and I played the demo, I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on because I haven't played 4. I have 4, but it's on my console, and I don't ever turn on console.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's kind of like, it's part of the reason it's on my back burner is kind of because I don't know what's going on, and I'm sure you don't really need to know what's going on to enjoy the game, but at the same time, I kind of would prefer to know what's going on, but I don't want to be stuck out here in the heat watching 1.5-hour cutscenes on Metal Gear 4.
Yeah,
that's
horse
that's
garbage.
not a thing on my so that's why it's kind of like, yeah, I want to play it, but also at the same time I kind of want to play 4 first, but yeah.
So somebody who played Metal Gear Solid 4 to go into Revengeance, replayed 4, so who knows if this is fair. I didn't need to do that. Like, just play Revengeance would be my suggestion, and don't be afraid to go to Wikipedia or whatever the Metal Gear wiki is, Cardboard Boxopedia, to like look up what SOP means, because like that is just referred to as though it's a thing when it is not.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'll play a game and I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm just like, what is this about? I don't even know, and I'll just still play it anyway. So I mean, it's something that when I played the demo, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I should probably go play 4, and then I didn't play 4, and now I'm like, I don't know.
the important things that Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance does are not related to Metal Gear Solid 4, or do not hinge on any kind of knowledge of it.
Okay, but yeah, I was told that it has a lot of ridiculousness to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That would almost be an understatement.
Yeah, and that is part of the reason why I kind of want to play it. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll surprise everybody the day I pull it out and say, "Guess what I played, guys?"
Yeah. No, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Ben, when I was talking, you made some comments that lead me to believe that you played this. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize you did.
I only played the first 2 missions, and then I kind of stopped playing it.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I agree with the combat system, how it's hard, but once you learn how to do it, it's somewhat rewarding.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like there's a but. What's the but on the other side of that?
It's hard. That's the only part.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's all I've been playing. Up next on my docket, it's either going to be Prey, or I just realized Tacoma came out. So regardless, next week you're likely going to hear me talk about being on a space station. Yeah. Who wants to go next? Dealer's choice between... Well, I guess I would be the dealer in this situation. Ben, what you been playing?
Oh, man. I navigated away from what I've been playing for Tacoma. All right. So I got a couple of things. I've been playing some cool stuff, Rocket League, Magic, whatever. A new game that I picked up, new to me, is Factorio. It's something been on my wish list for a while. I played the demo. That kind of got me to get the actual game. It's fun. I've only played it for about 5 hours, so I've only automated a few things. But you can definitely see that it's like a very deep well in terms of how you can scale up your base.
Factorio is like the top-down like survival kind of game where the main goal is to set up conveyor belts and little factory doodads in order to refine what you need in order to escape the planet. Yeah.
It's, for some reason, I felt it was similar to like Age of Empires in the beginning steps, where it's like, oh, I'm walking around and mining things. Like, I'm going to tell my dude to get iron, and I'm going to tell him to get oil or whatever. But the key difference is you can build, it's like Legos, you can build individual components, so you can build things that'll refine like whatever raw material to like refined material. As you said, you can build conveyor belts, so you can like have stuff, like move around on these. You can build arms, which are important because they can move things from component to component. So like if you and you can build things that like mine things for you. So you can have something mine a resource that it's built on top of and spit something out next to it. And then you can have a conveyor belt if you build it there. You can have it carry it somewhere else. Eventually you unlock buildings where if you put 2 different items in this building, it'll create an item like that you would normally have to create yourself, I guess. It'll automatically
Yeah.
construct it for you and spit it out somewhere else. So you're basically making a giant factory from raw resources. The goal is to eventually build a rocket ship and get off this planet that you're polluting before you ruin it completely.
Yeah. Well, as you pollute it, do they still have the little pollution monsters, the cavity creeps that come after you?
Yeah. So the premise of the game is that you crash landed on this planet. I forget what they're called. But yeah, there's monsters on this planet that they're not exactly monsters. They're monsters insofar as what is that one war movie? Starship Troopers. They're as much as they are monsters, where it's just you were kind of attacking them.
Right. You're shitting up their world. They're monsters because they are attacking you. Yeah,
they only attack you when you pollute their planet by making things like water engines and I don't know, whatever. But yeah, so you have to, as you're developing your factory, you also have to make defenses like turret defenses, because they'll start coming and attacking the things that you build as soon as you start polluting enough. So I think the level at which they attack you is proportionate to the amount that you're polluting, which is proportionate to the amount of things that you've built. So that's the difficulty scale.
Right.
So eventually you have to build walls and stuff to try and keep them out. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I've just gotten to the point where I've upgraded. The first pass at everything is you can kind of build these coal components, which is where you have to manually. Sorry, what?
Oh, I said hi.
Yeah. Where you have to manually go and store them with whatever resources you need for them to function. So you need a certain amount of fuel in order to burn resources and to refine resources. So you have to go and restock those typically. Right. Alternatively, what you can do is you can make electricity energy from water, from a water source. And then you can start stacking electric poles, and you can use an electric refinery if you want to, and then it's all automated. So there's this weird infinity engine almost thing that you have where you make an electric resource miner for coal. You ship the coal down. You ship coal and you refine coal, and then you burn coal. No, you basically have something feed the coal back into these electric machines so that they're powering themselves essentially. So that works for as long as you have a coal resource. Eventually these resources that you have, where there's a coal deposit or something else, eventually they'll run out and you have to go to other parts of the planet.
Ben, are you intentionally mentioning saying coal as many times as you possibly can, or is this just a side effect?
I started leaning into it about halfway through.
Well, no, I decided I was only going to do it twice, so you're barking up the wrong tree. Continue.
Yeah, so eventually you have to branch out and find other resources away from where you start off with your base. But that's about as far as I've got on the progression of my factory. So
nice.
The cool mechanic of the game is it encourages you to automate things that you can, which is something that people should do in their work life, or different program or something like that.
Right.
So I think that's cool that that's built into a game. Yeah,
for sure. And when I played this for I think maybe 4 hours or something like that, the fun that I had was not in the messing around where I was actually controlling my character, but it was watching the simple system I created, trying to identify and troubleshoot points where things were backing up.
Yeah. You make a conveyor belt and eventually it's stacked with resources, but then, and things can't output them. So you need to build more that handles them down the line. And
So just that rapid, iteration and optimization scratched a management itch for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty fun. People have warned me that it's addicting. I don't think I've fallen into that trap yet, but yeah.
So you say.
I think this is so much a Ben type game based on things that you have described in the past that I think that you have the antibodies to get in, appreciate this thing for what it is, and then just bounce out.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I played it for 5 hours so far. I don't know if I'll fall down a rabbit hole or not, but I don't know if I'll see this game through to the very end or not. But yeah, I don't. I think it'll be more of like a casual game that I'll pick up and play for a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Factorio is a casual game.
Yeah. All right. And then I have one more game. I think I mentioned this on an earlier podcast, but as promised, I picked up Fidel, the dog saving grandma game.
Oh, this is the game you watch the stream of. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like very similar to The Witness in that it's like a pathfinding game where you start at one point, you have to end at another point, but you can kind of control which way you go orthogonally to that. But the main difference is that you have a lot of systems of you have like a health bar. You play as a dog. He has a leash on him. His leash is kind of marks his trail as he walks along. And there's like monsters on it, and he has a health bar. So if he goes over a monster, he typically loses like 1 to 2 health bars. And then there's health packs on the map, and so you have to kind of plan out your route so that you're never dying at any point in the route.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a certain level of thing. That's typically good. Yes, if you quote unquote die, a ghost will start at your leash at the entry point of the level, follow it down your leash until it gets to you, and then it murders you. So,
oh my,
poor pupper.
Yeah. So it's an interesting puzzle game. Only played it for an hour so far. I definitely want to keep playing it. I've gotten to the like the quote unquote like boss battle once, and that was pretty difficult. So I died there. So I'm gonna keep playing it from here. So,
is it like an FTL situation?
It's I don't. It's not exactly that. It's just it's such a different mechanic that it's hard to compare to that.
Yeah.
It's just that it's the interesting thing about this game is it's a puzzle game where you're on a timer. So you have like maybe like 2-3 minutes to figure out this puzzle. And if you don't, a ghost appears at your leash at the entry point of the level and it chases you until it kills you. So it basically you can try and plan things for the first 2 to 3 minutes, but once that triggers or whatever, you have to quickly solve the puzzle and get whatever experience you can. So kind of the trade-off is you won't level up as quickly. Leveling up basically gives you more hearts, which is another interesting thing because then that determines how many monsters you can go through before you need a health pack. So that's very like dynamic. So like once that changes, then like your pathway can definitely change. So kind of throws a wrench in your planning.
Is there like an optimal path through that doesn't require you to burn a heart?
I don't know. It seems like there's so many options. I would be surprised if there's a single optimal path like for each level. That would be awesome. But it seems like it would be hard to plan around, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I guess one of the other systems in play is one of the things on the ground there will be like coins in certain spots. If you go over a coin, like if you collect 3 of them, basically it's something that you can purchase. You can purchase a like health thing, or it'll give you 1 more heart, or it'll fill 1 of your hearts. So what it does is makes it so that like if you're at like 3 health, it means you can go through 4 monsters if you pay for this instead of 3. So it's kind of like a get out of jail free sort of thing. But then it messes with it because it makes it very variable what you can do, or like the amount of paths that you can have.
Is there a character in the game who like gives you the hearts to fill up your life meter?
No, there's in addition to monsters on the map, there's like med kits on the map, and if you go through a med kit, you get full health.
So what you're saying is there is no Phil Heart Man.
There's no Phil Heart Man. There's Phil Heart Pack.
Okay.
And so those are like usually they're like littered throughout the level. So there's like 3 or 4 of them.
It's official. Nobody's paying attention.
All right.
All right.
So sorry.
No, I got it. I'm just.
Oh, all right. Sorry, I got it.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just judging you.
Okay. No, it's fine.
I was so lost in my trying to give an accurate description of the game.
You were earnestly trying to fulfill the purpose of this podcast.
Okay, so then another wrinkle that they add is they'll usually add like different enemies on each of the maps, and usually it'll like break one of the game rules. So like there's vampires on one of the maps where you can kill them if you specifically have no health. But if you have any health, it will take you down to 0. And so it definitely like changes like the way you think of in terms of pathfinding. So this is as close as an action game of The Witness as you're going to get to play. But
because there's like a time pressure associated with it.
Yeah. So for all 5 people that interest, should check this game out.
Anybody who wants action witness.
All 5 probably listening to the podcast as well.
Steven Sausage Roll, where you have to hunt down the people to make into the sausage.
Ooh. Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Does it live up to what you saw on the stream?
I mean, I've only put it for an hour, so I'm gonna put some more time in before I give a judgment, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting so far. So yeah.
Nice. Is that all you played?
Yep, that's all I got.
Cool. David, it's your turn now.
Sure. So the main thing I've been playing is I actually caved in and bought into the early access of Fortnite. So I don't know. Me and Dennis have kind of been talking about some, but I'm not sure if we've mentioned it here. It's basically a combination of kind of a horde mode type gameplay combined with a Minecraft type of deal. So you have to defend a point, but you can build build this basically this fort around the point and stock it with various traps and things like that. And then it also has a lot of RPG mechanics in terms of there being rare loot and leveling up your heroes and things like that. So kind of the backstory, which is overtly weird, is that all of a sudden the planet Earth gets covered by this weird purple storm that turns most of the population into zombies.
Okay.
And you basically find that there's this one mega corporation that somehow knew the storm was coming and started to prepare, and so you stumble into one of their bases and basically recruited by the AI that lives there to fight the storm. So yeah, that's kind of the bare thread of a storyline it has. Mostly though, the game is pretty silly. So for example, your kind of lead researcher / storm chaser is this this fellow named Lars, whose research mobile outpost is actually a van with a picture of him playing guitar airbrushed on the side.
Okay.
And you have to connect weather balloons to it and fly it up into storms.
Yeah. You're bearing the lead here. This is made by Epic.
That means very little to me.
The Unreal people.
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
And
sure.
Also People Can Fly, which is the they did Painkiller, but they also did Bulletstorm. Would be the big thing. And this looks like a less gritty version of Bulletstorm, visually anyway, which was already very colorful for a first-person shooter of that era.
Yeah. The game is super colorful, very, very stylized. In particular, the hero designs are really well done. For example, the classes are basically constructor, soldier. It's like Outlander, which is kind of like your rogue scout class, and then ninja. Okay. And they're all very evocative designs. The ninja classes do a really good job of kind of suggesting sort of the kind of 80s ninja boom type of looks.
Yeah, like kind of loose fitting.
Yeah, exactly. And on the other hand, a lot of the constructors are very obviously patterned off of construction workers. So wearing Carhartts and like painter shirts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also I should give a shout out. Does a really good job of having a lot of variety in terms of gender and ethnicity for the heroes. So that's kind of cool. And they're as far as I can tell, I think every hero has unique voice lines in terms of like their call outs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
so it's kind of Overwatchy in that way.
Yeah. Much. It's a little weird because it's not nearly as much backstory, particularly to the heroes, which is kind of too bad because, like I said, they're very well designed. They kind of suggest some interesting stuff. Actually, the main personality is kind of your robot AI companion that sort of, in effect, kind of does the narrator announcer type of role.
Okay.
But is, very, very entertainingly, entertainingly written. Just weird things like, in between story missions, she'll occasionally read Yelp reviews that the people you've saved and taken to your base have left about the quality of service at your base.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's very well written, fairly kind of likable, fairly adorable. So yeah, it's overall it's a lot of fun. It's one of the reasons we're actually originally planning on doing this for Jala, but we kind of got away from it because it's free to play and some of the freemium stuff started getting maybe a little weird. And basically kind of the release of it so far was they released it and people started complaining about like some of the non-paid progression being out of whack. Basically the next day they their main forum had a post asking like hey for we're trying to be making this game better, what's the things to focus on. Obviously people said that. The next day basically had a thread saying this is what we're going for, explain how you feel things are. People responded to that, and then the next day basically they said like, hey, we're gonna fix this, and also gave basically everyone who played a whole bunch of items from the cash store. So I think I calculated out would be approximately $15 worth of items. So definitely seems, I guess my point being, seems like a developer that's like trying to do right by the model.
Okay.
So that's that's kind of nice. But yeah, so far it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of a dumb game, but it's I don't know. Shooting zombies and collecting loot is never a bad thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything to add. Like, I had no idea this game existed.
Yeah, it a little bit flew under the radar until like right at it. But I guess the one other thing I'd say that's a little weird about it is the game is incredibly complicated in kind of a weird way. Like there's just a ton of different mechanics. So, for example, there's like multiple different ways you can use the characters you've rescued or the heroes that you aren't currently playing to like assign them to support roles in order to get like stat buffs during missions. Things like that. There are a ton of different mechanics in the games, which unfortunately they don't exactly explain, but it's still better than not having them.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Neat. I don't have anything to add.
Yeah.
And is that all for you?
Other than the Jala streaming madness.
Yeah, we've been running a little long, so I guess we just summarize real quick what was going on. Um, Yeah, so stuff that was going on during the Jolade. There were several blocks of Azure Dreams because the kind of original idea was let's play some stuff that Jala really likes. And so Sporky and crew, Kurt, Mac, and Garrett all played Azure Dreams and actually got a lot of people in the community very interested in the game. And that's cool because that's one of my favorite games. Also, just to let people know, again, I guest hosted on PlayStation Power episode number 14 about Azure Dreams. So if you like it, I was talking to Greg and George back in September of last year talking about this very game. So you can go check that out. There was Democracy 3, Dracula Unleashed.
Wait, is this one game?
No. Democracy 3, comma, Dracula Unleashed.
That would be amazing.
What was it that they were playing Alone with You, Jeremy and crew. Let me see, Alone with You and
Sundered.
Yes, Sundered. That was a game that I talked about from PAX South that I wanted to check out that is in my wish list. So that was one of the streams that I happened to miss. So I'm going to have to go back and watch that. There was Diablo 3, and American Truck Simulator, Monolith, Jackbox, Killing Floor 2, which was Dennis and David and various individuals. Tabletop Simulator, which was crazy. I woke up in the middle of the night to come watch some of that, and I'm very glad that I did because it was insane. Fire Pro Wrestling World, which I have heard many stories about, so that's another one.
About that.
They named Liam named a bunch of the characters after Ussens, and so Jala was beating people up, Brayton was beating people up, Kole died. I don't know what happened. Passport 2, The Starving Artist, that was an Allison stream. That was actually it was funny because it was simultaneously relaxing and also very stressful for me because I am actually an artist.
Right.
And so like for me to go through it and see that and then, whatever, it's kind of stressful, but at the same time it is overall a relaxing game. And that was really fun because everybody was shouting out suggestions of stuff for Allison to draw, and that was great fun to watch. That's a really good game to stream for sure.
Yeah.
Then there was the Gary's, GMing of his tabletop RPG based on his upcoming book, Atomic. And then finally, ending out the stream was Greg playing Sunrider Liberation Day and Solar Settlers. So there was a lot of variety in what was being played, and there were a lot of good memories made during the entire stream for sure. I caught, like I said, a large portion of it. I missed the wrestling. I missed the Alone with You and Sundered and Democracy 3, but I was there for pretty much everything else. So
yeah. And that tabletop session was actually very fun. I'm looking forward to doing more of those.
Oh my God, it was hilarious, but very not safe for work. Do not listen to that. Do not listen to that like on a speaker. I would not suggest it. But like the snake oil thing, when they started playing that was so funny. Oh my God, it was hilarious. And also there were a lot of jokes that started up during one part of the stream that just kind of carried over, like the thing you were talking about with Vor. That started, if I'm not mistaken, with Jeremy's stream, thanks to Eric, and kind of carried over from there. So yeah, the entire archive of that is up on my YouTube account, and Cole's going to put the link in the show notes.
It's already there.
Yay! Also, if you can subscribe to my YouTube, that would be great. Because my YouTube existed before my brand of Jala-chan and Places existed. And so my YouTube is not under Jala-chan. And just for ease of use, so that people can find me on YouTube, I would like to change that. But I need to have 100 subscribers, and I don't have that. I have 15 short or something. So if you guys just go and do that, like, that would push me over the edge, and then then I'll go crazy and flip tables, and then also be Jala-chan in that place also.
In one additional place.
Yeah. So that way everybody can just not think about it, just type Jala-chan and find me. Just for ease of use reasons. But anyway, yeah. The only thing that I personally played was the tabletop RPG. Other than that, I popped in and was on the audio for Sporky, Garrett, and Kurt Mack's first session of Azure Dreams for part of Diablo 3, and then I was also on the audio for a little bit of Tabletop Simulator, and then I was interacting with people during some of the other parts of the stream as well. So like you'll hear people go, "Oh, hi Jala," or whatever. Like I was giving Allison suggestions of stuff to draw on Passport 2. So, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good fun. I will let you guys talk about your experiences.
I mean, I didn't have very much aside from doing the tabletop thing. That's going to be available in audio, like on the Duckfeed Presents and also on Patreon. That was we were satisfying a goal. We did that because we hit a certain point there. And Gary, like the setting was kind of his Fallout pastiche from his new upcoming book, the Atomic, the Worlds of Power book. Or Power Worlds or whatever he calls it. Sorry, man.
Power World.
It's one or the other, and I'm always going to say the wrong one. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to do that. It had been a very long time since I'd done. Oh, good.
I was watching some of the recap of the stream on Twitch because that has the chat archive, and people were just cracking up at your accent, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like your character voice. I was going to do a character voice, but then I was just so dead tired by that time that I did not have it in me anymore.
Yeah.
What people don't know is that's actually Cole's normal voice. His podcast voice is the character voice.
Yeah, it's a real put on. Anybody who's met me in person knows that I talk a little bit like this. It's like a little bit of a Rugrats kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it just seemed like the easiest way. I was playing the class name as a Gear Loose, like a DuckTales kind of thing. No, I was like the old world tech guy.
Yeah, and I was a Croach, which is basically a ghoul bone setter, aka doctor, aka crazy surgeon who's like, out to. I was evil also, so I was just all business and also very interested in killing people or operating on them at all times. So, Jeremy, yeah.
Jeremy was a super mutant. He was like a big dumb guy who's covered himself in garbage and fluids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a little bit disappointed he didn't do a voice. I thought that was that would be a fun opportunity.
He was very nervous.
Oh, he shouldn't have been.
Nervous.
He was good.
You should give him pats on the back. He is a nice person.
He is.
But yeah, like I was just tired. I would have done a voice, but I was tired. Besides which, like me when I'm tired is kind of grumpy to begin with, so I guess it works.
No, it's easier for me to act in character if I'm doing the voice, because otherwise I don't differentiate between like, oh, is this me saying or am I saying this or is my dude saying this? And all of a sudden I realize I'm sounding incredibly pretentious. So
no. Well, part of it for me too is I didn't want to be like in character and then you're in character and then Jeremy's not in character and then he feels even more nervous. Like I didn't want to do that either. Like there were various levels of consideration going on there. But anyway, if Gary actually wants me back on, should you guys get to the next Duck Venture goal, then I would probably have a character voice the next time. This was just like an extenuating circumstance.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
David, Ben, how about you? Well, what'd you guys get up to during the stream?
I was gonna say that was one of the ones that I got to see was you guys doing the role playing, and I thought that was really cool. So, are you guys going to stream more in the future, or what's the plan for that?
I'm not positive if the next ones are going to be streamed or not. Okay. It introduces some production problems that are going to get in the way of having the usual kind of like audio quality we enjoy. Regardless, like I want to do more of that. Like again, like I already have ideas for like a campaign that I would like to do in a Dungeon World style thing. What's that?
I want to play Kole Date My Baby finally. Like Dennis and David rolled up characters and we were all going to play and then we couldn't find a time to play and it was terrible. But that would be something to do on video chat for sure because you have to act like you're kobold and kobolds don't speak. So like you have to gesticulate and all of that
to be
stuff.
fair,
so, yes.
Dennis is kobold speaks.
Yeah, that's true. He says like 3 words? I don't know.
10
but anyway.
words.
It's more of a parlor trick.
so yeah, anyway, I would like to do more of that too. So tell me if you're doing the thing because I would like to do the thing also.
Yeah. And if people like that, all the better.
Yay. So tell us about Killing Floor, David.
Yeah, so basically getting killed by all the zombies mostly, honestly. Our team, except for one member, were not particularly competent at killing the zombies, let alone the floor. I'm really sorry. I'm so freaking tired. I moved into my house today. Probably the most fun thing actually is they are currently in the middle of a summer event, and they released a carnival map. And in addition to the normal horde mode, trying to survive against these enemies, there are various ways to power up the amusement park rides and lure zombies into getting hit by them and things. And then there's also various carnival mini games, so shooting booths and money toss and things like that you can do in order to get achievements and eventually a free cosmetic item. So it was kind of funny. We, did a couple of runs at hard mode, and I think won pretty much all of them. And so we decided to go up to, impossible mode or wherever the next highest mode is, and got beat pretty badly. But then ultimately decided to go back to normal mode, and which is the lowest difficulty setting, and try these carnival games. And was kind of funny because after playing impossible mode or whatever, we pretty much the zombies trying to kill us became kind of more nuisances than anything else.
So it's like a regular zombie story.
As the actual focus of the game is how can we make this dunking booth drop a zombie into the water? So, it was a lot of fun. It's a really good game for just kind of shenanigans. It's especially when you have a full group of people. It really oscillates between just rolling over most the weaker enemies, and then on the other hand, they couple of just really strong kind of boss type enemies, just kind of chasing everyone around. So it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, and I will say that like I said before, every little bit of the streams that I caught were entertaining in various ways because every one of them had a new and interesting flavor. So yeah, it was a good deal of fun, and there were people like in the community who were just up and in there, supporting the streamers for as much of the weekend as they could muster as well. And thanks to everybody who streamed, for all the people on the back end, for all the people who just showed up to watch and just, visit with everybody and just, participate in this. It was a lot of fun, and I'm going to cry if I keep talking about it, so I'm not going to say any more about it, but
yeah, I think you said what needs to be said. You thanked everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that sounds like a show to me. Do you all want to button it up?
Yes, buttons.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Level. And again, thank you to everybody who participated in Jala. We will be back next week with more. Not more Jala, more of this. Yeah. You know the usual stuff. I don't want to delude you. This has already been a long episode. This is the first episode coming out in August. This is the time when we are ending Bonfireside Chat and changing over to the new version of WoF. The first Final Fantasy IV episode is going to be out if you're listening on the regular feed by the time you're listening to this. And if you have the early feed, you've already heard that. But I'm really excited for the way that's going to go and where the network is going. You're already hearing this. Like, I'm actually playing new games. Not new games, but I'm playing games as opposed to saying like, nope, nothing. Now that I'm out from under the dual WoF thumb. But yeah, thank you to everybody who has made that possible. Am I forgetting anything for now?
No.
Okay. So I have been Kole Ross. That is at Kole Ross on Twitter.
I've been David Moneysmith at Moneysmith777 on Twitter.
I'm Jala-chan in every place except for YouTube.
Yet.
Ben Merkel at Merkelizer on Twitter.
Yeah. And stick around for some titles.
So, I'm sorry.
Yes?
You okay?
Did your brain freeze? What happened there?
It sounded like you were going to say something terrible. Not like terrible, awful, but like something like, oh, guys, I've got some news for you.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Although I do have only one title that I recalled.
Okay, well, go for it. What was it?
Bootstrap Culture.
Okay.
Also have to say, after all the talk of Jala, I really want some lemonade now.
Lemonade would actually be very good. The tartar, the better. Jala, how about you?
Nanomachines, son.
Okay.
Parry system, and that's like capital P period, capital E period, not PA but PE, because that's what you were trying to tell us that it wasn't. Was a parry system.
I like acronymizing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Kole component and action witness.
Okay. Ben.
Phil Hartman.
Okay.
Not a lot of like crossover. Is that the only one you had?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I had no hunks. There we go. That's our answer.
Yeah.
When was that said?
I think it was said in relation to Supernatural.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was about Supernatural and like whatever the other thing is, and it's like, but are there two hunks in a car? If there's no hunks, if there's no hunks, he's not on board with it.
I like that one, because everybody laughed, but also because it relates to the question that we asked.
Yeah.
Yeah. No hunks sounds good.
Roger.
There we go. Cool. Well, I'm going to edit this bad boy real quick tonight because otherwise I'm going to procrastinate. I hope everybody has a good night.
What was up with that? Were you channeling like Gary's voice from his character voices from Tabletop?
No, I'm very sleepy. Is the thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what happens? Okay.
I mean, tonight it manifests in many ways.
Okay. Well, go. Leave before you go totally yokel.
Oh, jeez. All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
As a side note, Jala, that kangaroo is adorable.
It is. It's pretty good. It's good, Roo.
Yeah.
So,
it has toilet paper and you don't.
Oh, well.
Go find it. Maybe it'll give you the toilet paper that it has. Okay, bye.
Holla.
Peace.
See you guys.